Jai All glories to Shri Guru and all glories to Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiriyet Shravam Swakatha Kṛṣṇa Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayatasto Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhasatam Nashtaprayasha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhakti Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. So today we will be covering Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 9th canto, chapter 24. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the previous class we covered Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 9th canto, chapter 23. The dynasties of the sons of Yayati. And that's where we saw how, Kuru's dynasty, Kuru dynasty, and how Dhritarashtra, Vidur and Pandu came into being. And then the Pandavas, of course. And so we talked about Pandava, but there was another one, Kunti's first son. His description comes in this chapter. Yes. And we also refer to that personality as Kṛṣṇa. So again, we'll be discussing some of those great personalities. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 9th canto, chapter 24, verse 1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Tasyam Vidarbho Ajanayat Putra Namna Kushakrathau Tritiyam Roma Padam Cha Vidarbha Kulanandanam. Shishaka Uvacha Tasyam Vidarbho Janayat Putra Namna Kushakrathau Tritiyam Roma Padam Cha Vidarbha Kulanandanam. Shishaka Uvacha Tasyam Vidarbho Ajanayat Putra Namna Kushakrathau Tritiyam Roga Padam Cha Vidarbha Kulanandanam. Shishaka Uvacha Tasyam Vidarbho Ajanayat
Putra Namna Kushakrathau Tritiyam Roma Padam Cha
Vidarbha Kulanandanam. Shishaka Uvacha. Shri Shukadeva Goswami said, Tasyam, in that girl, Vidarbha,
Vidarbha,
the son born of Shabya named Vidarbha.
the son born of Saibya named Vidarbha.
Ajanyat
Danya
gave birth,
gave
Putra,
Putra
two sons,
to two sons,
Namna,
Namna,
by the name
by the name
Kusha, Krithao,
Kusha, Pratao,
Kusha and Kritha.
Kusha and Pratao.
Tritiyam,
Tritiyam,
and a third son,
and the third son,
Romapadam cha,
Romapadam Cha,
Romapad also,
Romapad also,
Vidarbha Kula Nandanam,
Vidarbha Kula,
the favorite in the dynasty of Vidarbha. Translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
the Prabhupada ki Jai.
Shrudev Goswami said, by the womb of the girl brought by his father, Vidarbha begot three sons, named Kusha, Kritha and Romapad. Romapad was the favorite in the dynasty of Vidarbha. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timanandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Garim Yatripatadham Vande Shri Guru Dina Taranam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, I mentioned the personality known as Kṛṣṇa, but the title of this chapter is Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of God. I just, wanted to bring some attention to the great personalities that appear. So this chapter acts like a casting for the next 90 chapters in 10th canto. And here, great personalities are identified, like in text 9, the son of Devabrata was Babru. And concerning Devabrata and Babru, Shukdev Goswami said that they were great personalities, that 14,065 of their descendants were all delivered. They went back home, back to Godhead. And Babru was referred to as the best among the men. And Devabrata, his father, was referred to as equal to demigod. So he had the divine qualities, both of them actually. And in 16th chapter, Lord Kṛṣṇa identifies those divine qualities. So we'll be going back and forth to provide some references. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said in the 16th chapter, the first 3 verses, the divine qualities is listed. Fearlessness. Now when we talk about fearlessness, there is a personality who was always fearful, who appears in the 10th canto. And who's that personality? Kṛṣṇa. Yes. As soon as he hears an unembodied voice, that the 8th son of the woman he is carrying in the chariot, he was a charioteer, will kill him. He had to just hear it, no verification, no understanding, no clarification. In fear, he picks up, holds the hair of his sister, who's just married, is taking her to her in-laws' place, and takes out with a sword on his right hand. And he shows similar behavior when Kṛṣṇa appears in front of him. After killing Charan and Mushtika, when Kṛṣṇa, after killing their brothers also, he comes in front of Kamsa. In fearfulness, Kamsa acts in a very strange manner. He picks up a shield to protect himself and a sword. And Kṛṣṇa is without any arms. So he doesn't get any glories because of that. Kamsa said that he would sleep with his lights on. He would not sleep in the dark. Because he was always dreaming that Kṛṣṇa would come at any time and kill him. So that's fearfulness. While one of the divine qualities, fearlessness. And Vasudeva, he shows by his example how you can be fearless. Then the next quality is purification of one's existence. Now this is also very important. We should always be looking at, our purification, externally and internally. So So there's a very nice reference that we normally, when we were in elementary school back in India, we hear about this. Mana jirat pherat chuk hoya, gaya na man ka pher, kar ka man ka dari de man ka pher. Right? So people, talking about chanting beats. So for many yugas, someone could be chanting on the beats, but in the mind, in the heart, they may still be impure. So it is very important to really engage our mind, because mantra means the one that delivers the mind. So when we chant, it's not that we are just chanting externally, it is an internal cleansing process. So when we are chanting, we have to bring our mind wherever it is to focus on hearing, and also we should try to pronounce as clearly as possible and attentively hear. So when we hear the chanting of the holy name, it purifies us. And all we need to do is raise our hand and chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So external purification is important, but even more important than that is internal purification. And Srila Prabhupada used to say cleanliness is next to godliness. So why not just be clean inside as well when you are trying to be clean outside? Outside cleanliness, again, we are all doing some level of sacrifices. And this reminds me of an incident where Srila Prabhupada, he was walking on the street, morning walk, with his female disciples, ladies, and Vaishnavis. And as they were on the traffic light, they saw on the other side, this is the time of winter, they saw some young girls. And those girls were really in skinty clothes. And these disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they were looking at these girls, it's cold, and these girls hardly have any clothes on them. So Srila Prabhupada smiled and he said, see, we are all making sacrifices. You are making sacrifice for Kṛṣṇa, I'm paraphrasing, and they are making sacrifice for sense gratification. They have a different motive, they have a different goal. But your goal is Paraṁpada, the ultimate goal, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that purification is very important, and with purification, of course, there is some sacrifice involved. So we should focus on who are we sacrificing for? Are we sacrificing who's in the center, in essence? Is Krishna in the center, or are we in the center? And it's very easy for our mind to conclude that if we are in the center, then Krishna will automatically be in the center because he's in our heart. No? Yeah. So again, our mind is very creative, and it tries to find, excuses to just come back to sense gratification. So we should be very careful. And that's why we have 3 references. And what are those 3 references? Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Our spiritual master, acharyas in leadership succession, we are getting from our instructions from. Then the Shastras, the scriptures, the Vedic scriptures. And then we have sadhus, the devotees. And then cultivation of spiritual knowledge. You all are gathered here, so of course you are looking for cultivating spiritual knowledge. It's very interesting that cultivation is more like farming, right? You have to engage in it day and night with some focus, that you are looking at some end goal. If you are just doing something without an end goal, what is it? It's wandering. So it's very interesting that I'm reminded of another incident. Prabhu referred in one of his lectures. He was saying that when Britishers were in India, in Delhi, there were suddenly too many cobras, too many snakes. So Britishers thought about it and he said, oh, maybe we need to control this population of cobras. What do we do? Snakes. So they came up with a scheme, and they said the scheme is that whoever brings the cobra skin will get 5 rupees. And 5 rupees at that time was a lot of money. So instead of people killing cobras and other snakes, they started farming. Because snakes, they shed their skin once a year, right? So every year if you have 10, you got 500 rupees, enough for 2-3 years. Nice. So again, at that time, the Indian advisors, they said, you never took advice from us. Because what was happening was, now the population was increasing, 4-4, right? And at that time, they said, oh, this is not really working well because we didn't understand. So they said, okay, this scheme has been discontinued, and now whoever was cultivating and farming these cobras was upset. And they released all the cobras. It did worse. And again the Indian advisors came, you didn't consult with us. Right? Because their advice would have been that you kill a dead cobra, not one that's shedding every year the skin. So now it's increasing more and it's more dangerous out there. So you have to be very, very careful as what we are cultivating and why we are cultivating something. And cultivation of spiritual knowledge is a regular exercise. We should do it on a regular basis. That's why we have Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class at the temple on a regular basis. The devotees chant on a regular basis. They engage in deity worship on a regular basis. So again, it has to be regulated. Everything in our life needs to be regulated, not whimsical. It is said that an unexamined life is not worth living because it loses its meaning while we're living. And sometimes when people live unexamined life, then they're basically surviving. And that's not our goal. Our goal is not to survive. Our goal is to constantly revive and live in our existence, purify ourselves, and cultivate spiritual knowledge. And that purifies us as well. Then comes charity. You should be charitable at heart. Charity doesn't just mean your hard-earned money. It means giving your time, giving service and so forth. Self-control. Now self-control reminds me of another incident. A newly wedded couple, they came to Srila Prabhupada, and this lady, she had just come from India. So Srila Prabhupada's instruction was, don't go to shopping places and all. And they were like, why is he trying to restrict us? They didn't understand the meaning that when you go to the mall, you see all these neon lights and all these advertisements and all, and you are easily attracted because you're in a foreign country, you're in a foreign land. When we come to the material world, this is a foreign land for us, right? We are like fish out of water. And constantly we are hankering for what? Water, going back home, back to Godhead. So just like a fish is hankering for water, no matter if you give fish a lot of shade, if it's in the sun, or some food, what does it really want? Water. It wants to go back in water. No matter what else you give, the fish doesn't want that. That's our state. So similarly, for this lady, the instruction was that don't, go out to get exposed because Maya is very strong. She catches us very quickly. And what are the places where lust resides? Mind, intelligence, and our senses. The 10 knowledge acquiring senses, and the 10 of the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and the 5 working senses. So we have to be very much self-controlled. And then performance of sacrifice, we already covered that. And here it is also referring to, again, the different kind of sacrifices in different ages. Kṛṣṇa dhāyate Vishnum tretayam yajato mukhe dvapari parichayam karota kirtana. In Krita Yuga, dhāyate Vishnum, one could meditate on Lord Vishnu and attain perfection, go back home, back to God. But in that age, people had to meditate for 10,000 and more years. Vishnu had 60,000 years he meditated to become Brahma Rishi. Prachetas, 10,000 years they meditated. What's our lifespan? 100 years. We can't meditate, it's too difficult. And there is a very strict process to go through, the process of Purāṇa, Pratyahara and so forth. So again, there's a specific process we have to follow. Tretayam yajato mukhe, in the Treta Yuga, in the next phase, yajna, fire sacrifices was the means by which one can attain perfection. And at that time also, it was for thousands of years you have to do that. Well, it's still not practical because our lifespan is 100 years. Then, Dvapare Parichaya. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared in Dvapara. So by serving His lotus feet, or by engaging in deity worship, you can attain perfection. And you can go back home back to Godhead. Again, even simpler is Karata Hari Kirtana. For our age, the prescribed yajna is Hari Kirtan, the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So simply by chanting of the holy name, we can attain perfection. Now, within Kali age, also there is a golden age. And that's for 10,000 years. And it started with the advent of who? Who's the personality of advent? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So only 500 years have passed. 9,500 years remain. What's our lifespan? 100 years. We have hope. There is hope. It's very interesting that, personalities or pure devotees, they have nothing to fear because they are 24/7 constantly engaging, meditating on Lord Krishna, serving Lord Krishna, and engaging in devotional service. And then the people who are materialists, they are antagonistic at times. They have nothing, they don't want to hear about Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada refers to them as madmen. What can you, if you talk to a mad person, right, can you make them understand anything? Does it make sense to waste your time on them? No, you should be intelligent. So they know that they are constantly engaged in sense gratification, they're going to fall down without being aware of it sometimes. Many of them are atheists by very nature. And some of them are karmis with some insight that, okay, we have to do penances to balance out. But as per Vedic instructions, you have to balance those things. And we refer to that in 6th canto extensively. So when we go to 6th canto, prior to Ajamil's pastime, there was a conversation between Srila Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So again, this is conversation happening between Srila Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, where it's described. And then study of the Vedas, very important. And we already talked about, cultivation of spiritual knowledge. So you are seeing that all these qualities are very much connected. So sometimes it's very interesting that somebody says, oh, if I'm engaged in deity worship, I can't do book distribution. Or if I'm engaged in book distribution, I can't do Harinam. If I'm engaged in Harinam, I can't do some other service. Right? Well, it's not a matter of you're doing one service and not being able to do other service because you're doing that service. It's not a matter of choices, it's a matter of integration. And as we hear these divine qualities Lord Krishna is identifying, it's not that you focus on developing one divine quality. When you develop one divine qualities, all the other qualities are interlinked. So it's an integration of things that we have to build our life around instead of just choosing one aspect of it. Austerity. Again, we need to be very austere in this identity. Simplicity. So simplicity is living a simple life but higher thinking. Simple life, higher thinking. So that's the motto. And what's the opposite of simplicity? Complicated or complex. And Srila Prabhupada identified means you don't have to really go into this speculative area. When he was shown a picture of a yogi who was brought, there was a platter of wealth in front of him, and the yogi was doing this. Srila Prabhupada said, if you bring that in front of me, I will go down like this. Why? Because I will engage everything, every single penny in Lord Krishna's service. So that's a higher goal. There's a very simple example given that if you are walking and you find a dollar note, then you pick, there are three reactions you can have. First one is you can ignore, just like this yogi. I don't care, I don't know what it belongs to, I have nothing to do with it. Right? Staying detached. Then the second would be, you could pick it up and put it in your pocket. Okay, now it's mine. Find the keepers. And the third would be, you will pick it up and try to find who the owner is. And Bhuktaram Yagatapsam Sarvalok Maheshwaram. So everything in the spiritual and material universes belongs to who? Lord Krishna. So you will engage it back in his service. So that's the higher goal. Shri Shri Gauranatai ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Gauri Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. So that's simplicity, non-violence. Now, non-violence can be of different kinds. And I was reading this, it kind of like really got my attention. New Year resolutions you try to make, and sometimes you go to read. And then, as we were just discussing among the devotees, non-violence, some of the resolution, non-violence gave it to me. And one person said, don't break anyone's heart. But then the next phase is important. Break their bones, they have 206 of them. No, don't break one's heart because they only have one. But break their bones because they have 206 of them. Oops. No, again, that's also not right, because non-violence means you really respect the other personality, whoever he is, and understanding that he is very dear to Lord Krishna, because Lord Krishna resides in his heart as Super Soul. So everyone out of us is very dear to Lord Krishna. Not just us, not just human beings, but animals, the trees, the shrubs, all living entities, and insects, everyone is very dear to Lord Krishna. So we should be very respectful and try to practice non-violence. I was going to speak. Now there are some instances given where Srila Prabhupada said he had some doubts. Once he was in Vrindavan and at Godhead, and there a snake was found. And his spiritual master, he said, kill it. And when Srila Prabhupada heard that, he was surprised. He had doubts. But it's not that you take the devotion service and you just surrender your intelligence as well. No. Intelligence is to be used to understand what's right and what's wrong. So when he had that, later on he realized that actually his spiritual master was right in that case, because snakes are envious by nature. And they can be killed if they are harmful, in the situation that they are going to attack someone and cause a human being to die or animals to die. So in that case, that was the right instruction or right insight. Now that reminds me of another instance Srila Prabhupada discusses, because we talk about don't break anyone's heart. Srila Prabhupada, back in his time, he had this he was married and his wife was very nice, and she was very obedient and so forth. So in the early stage of marriage, but he did not have any attraction towards her. So he was contemplating that I don't like my wife, so maybe I should get remarried. So back in those times, the Hindu religion allowed multiple marriages. And at that time, as he was thinking I should marry again and have a wife who I feel attracted to, his father said, actually it's a boon. And later on, Srila Prabhupada reveals in his lecture that it was actually a boon, because Chanakya Pandit reveals that a wife who is beautiful is not good. So it's very interesting. All the boys, if you ask them, they're all looking for beautiful wives, right? If you look at their ads, fair girl. Brahman giving ad in the newspaper is saying, should be so and so Brahman, fair skinned, right? Everyone's looking. They're not looking at the qualities, which are, they're only looking skin deep. But we should be looking at the real qualities. How obedient she is, how well natured she is, how well she will be as a mother, and so forth. Right? And if you get a beautiful wife with those qualities, that's even better. So we have to be very, very careful, because when we look at non-violence, it has multiple, not just meat eating, it has multiple implications. And a devotee, yasmānam dujte loko lokāna dujte cha. One should not disturb others and be disturbed by others. That's how we should be looking at. Truthfulness. We should be very clear in our dealings. It's not just we are speaking truth, we should speak in a palatable manner. It should be something that should not be disturbing others. So as you are saying, as we are talking about these qualities, they are all interrelated. Because to be able to speak truth in a palatable manner, you have to make sacrifice of your time to understand how can you present it in the right manner. Sometimes it's better to be quiet than being right. And sometimes it's also said, my wife, she normally refers that it's better to be nice than being right as well. You know. Sometimes people can be quiet, but their face is telling all the story more than those words could tell. Freedom from anger. Now anger. Kāma-isha, krodha-isha, raju-guna-sattva. So anger arises from lust. So understand why we should be free from anger. Because it's arising, its root cause is lust. Lust is all about sense gratification. So by the mode of passion, or the influence of the mode of passion, we become lusty. That's the influence. That's why we try to avoid things that are in the mode of passion. And if we don't get things with satisfaction of what we are looking for, if we are lusting for something, and it's very interesting, more than human beings, we are lusting for things. iPhone, right? People get angry if somebody picks up their iPhone by mistake, or drops their iPhone. Oh my gosh, what has happened? Hare Kṛṣṇa. So we have to be very, very careful. That we should not become angry because it's directly related to lust. Rather, we should be loving because it's directly related to Krishna in our dealings. So, renunciation. We have to renounce many things in our life. And of course, finally, it is recommended that sannyas order is renounce order of life. So it's not that you renounce everything and also renounce Krishna, no. You focus on Krishna and renounce everything that's attached to material world. Rather, you use whatever you get materially in Krishna's service, because then you will spiritualize it. So the same dollar you could see and a merchant can see would be different. The devotee sees is something that we may engage in Krishna's service. A merchant sees is to make another $10 from that single dollar so that he can engage in sense gratification. A materialist would see it that way. Tranquility. Equipoise. An aversion to fault finding. Now this is very important. Because like I said, our mind is very creative. And it's said that when we raise our finger, there's a fire finger, right? We raise the 3 fingers pointing back at us. Why fault finding? Because we can only find the faults that we have. Right? In others, you are able to find only the faults that you have. So if you are trying to become faultless, that means you have to start giving up this habit of fault finding. Gossiping is another factor which actually encourages fault finding. So instead of gossiping, what should we do? Krishna Katha. And for Krishna Katha, somebody said, we need more than one person, right? Well, you can always hear Srila Prabhupada's lectures, right? One video is very nice source now. You can hear small clips, very nice. And compassion for all living entities. You see how it's all connected? All these qualities. And we should be non-violent, and better than non-violence is being compassionate, being loving to all living entities. Freedom from covetousness, very much related to simplicity. We should be simple in our dealings. Gentleness. So once there was an American lady, she wrote to Srila Prabhupada as how her dealing with some of the devotees in a shopping area was not very pleasing. And Srila Prabhupada's instructions back to his disciples was that you should all be perfect gentlemen and ladies. And then he wrote a letter responding back, identifying that these are devotees, please forgive, but at the same time the focus is for us to get the instruction And Srila Prabhupada, he was always in his element. He was always serving Krishna, and even a small dealing would be with full focus. So I'm reminded of another incident where Srila Prabhupada was having this big GBC discussion, and he was getting ready to take bath at the same time. And Ravindra Prabhu, he comes in, and he has to, Srila Prabhupada asks him to deposit a check. And Srila Prabhupada, in the middle of all this conversation, gives him perfect instructions as how the check has to be deposited, in which bank, where, and everything. And when Srila Prabhu was first doing that was perfect instructions, very clear, complete instructions I received within those 1 to 2 minutes. And then he went back to that conversation where he was with the GBC folks. So that's how it should be, right? We should be very gentle with every dealing. It's not that we are gentle, we're showing, oh, we are very nicely dressed as gentlemen. Now again, it's skin deep, just show off. Our dealings should show our gentleness. So we should be very gentle, very considerate to others. Then modesty. We should be modest. So Adhyahara Prayasasya Prajapo Niyamagraha Jana Sanghasya Laulyamcha Sadhvir Bhakti Vinashiti. Adhyahara. Eating more than required. But actually acquire more than required. It's very interesting that when you look at the animal kingdom, right? All the animals, when they want to eat something, they eat, and then they go back to their business. Birds, you throw them, thousands of seeds, they will just eat the number of seeds that will satisfy their stomach, and maybe for their babies, they will take some seeds. But for humans, there's a very common example. If you put, somewhere a whole bag of rice, especially basmati rice, on your curb, they won't take what they need. They will take the whole bag. That's that's the greed in us that we need to curb. So again, sense control, self-control. Steady determination. So regulated life means we should be steady in our approach. Not that we had a 100-meter sprint and then we sat down for next 2 days. Today I had 64 japas. Now I'm done for the month. That should not be the attitude. It's better to do 16 every day and continue to improve the quality of our chanting. And then vigor. We should be very enthusiastic in our approach. And then forgiveness. We should be able to forgive others for their doing. Rather, a devotee thinks that this is a reaction of my karma from past lives. But my whole hand, if my whole hand was to be cut off, Krishna has only given me a scratch. That should be the attitude. And then comes fortitude. So fortitude is, I found this definition which is very interesting. Mental and emotional strength in facing difficulty, adversity, danger or temptation courageously. Mental and emotional strength in various factors, and this actually covers all the domains we are talking about. Difficulty, right? There is a very nice example given that there was this person, he was ready to commit suicide, but he had not expressed. He was thinking that he would sit in the car and let the exhaust run and the smoke would just stand. But there was this devotee, as he was about to start his band, they started knocking on the window of his windshield, and he's getting disturbed. He's thinking that, in this material world you can't even die peacefully. My life is already so difficult. You can't even die peacefully. And so he opens up the window and shows off this devotee, and devotee is trying to just distribute books. He's trying to give him Bhagavad Gita and so forth. But this person doesn't want to listen. It's like just frustrated. I can't even die peacefully. And then afterward, the devotee, something overcomes him, and he just leaves the car on the windshield. He leaves one Bhagavad Gita and he leaves. So he says, okay, I'm dying anyway. Let me read something before I die. So he picks up Bhagavad Gita, he opens it up, and there he reads, in this material world, everyone's life is difficult. And he suddenly says, wait a minute, I was thinking only my life is difficult. That's why I was ending it. Everyone's life is difficult, so he wants to read more. So he comes to the temple, and he finds this devotee, knocks on his back, and he's like, thank you so much for giving me that book. Right? And then, when someone gets this inclination, they want to read further. And when you read the 5th canto, you realize suicide is not something you want to do, or even think of, because you suffer hellish conditions. Trying to get out of difficult, you go to extremely difficult state. You don't want to do any of those activities. So I was also reminded of another incident where this person is sitting in a bar. I know we have to cover this chapter. Yes. And he is really frustrated and looking at a drink. He's about to drink and somebody comes singing and picks up his drink and drinks it. And this person starts crying. And the person, no, I was just joking. It's like, no, my life is very difficult. Today I woke up late, went to work, got fired, came home, found my wife, she left me. My car was towed in the meantime by the cops. I come to this bar, about to drink poison, and guess what? You drink it. So that's life. It's difficult, but we should not give up hope, because we are in the golden age in Kali Yuga. And then last but not the least is cleanliness and freedom from envy and from passion for honor. So again, cleanliness next to godliness. So if you look at these qualities, they are all interrelated. So we have to just integrate these qualities. So here in this chapter, we talk about Devaka, the Babru and Devavata, who are equal to, Devavata was equal to demigods. And then there are great personalities identified, like Ahuka. He had 2 sons, Devaka and Ugrasen. And Devaka had 7 daughters. Of them, one was Devaki. And all 7 daughters were actually married to Vasudeva. Vasudeva means son of Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, Vasudeva. So that's why we sometimes refer to as Vasudeva Krishna. While Vasudeva, with a low A, is the father, Anantadunduvi, because when he was born, the kettle drums were played in the heavenly planets, so he was also named Anantadunduvi. And then from Ugrasen came Kṛṣṇa. So Padmavati was Ugrasen's wife. And actually, there was a yaksha so he saw Padmavati and he got attracted to her. So he actually took the form of Ugrasen and came. And that's how Kṛṣṇa was born. While other sons were, were born later on by Ugrasen. And all the daughters of Ugrasen, they were married to the younger brothers of Vasudeva. Now I'm just going to go to some, Shura was the king of Mathura. His full name, Shurasen, right? And his son, he had 10 sons. One of them was Vasudeva. And they were all very pious sons. And Vasudeva is referred to as religion personified. And his 13 wives have been referred. Devaki was his prime queen. And among her sisters, she was the youngest one of the 7 sisters. And here, she was the prime queen, which shows that the youngest queen sometimes becomes the most dear. So Vasudeva's youngest wife was the prime queen in this case. And there are different sons of Vasudeva from each of his wives are described. And finally it's described that from Devaki he had 8 sons. Kirtimash, Shusena, Bhadrasena, Riju, Samvardhana, Bhadra and Sankarshan. So the first six were Sadgarbhas. They were the ones who had laughed when Lord Brahma had that incident of going after his daughter in the form of deer. So they were cursed and they became the sons of Kalnimi in the next birth. And they got a curse from Hiranyakashipu that they would be killed by their own father. Why? Because they had actually taken a boon from Brahma that they would not be killed by the demigods if they don't fight with demigods. Then realizing this, that they had given up my shelter, Hiranyakashipu cursed them. That okay, you'll be killed by your own father. Forget about demigods. So in the next birth, they come as the first 6 sons of Devaki. And Kalnimi is born as Kamsa. And Kamsa kills all 6 of them. And then comes Sankarshan, who is none other than Balaram. And there are other sons of Rohini that have been referred. And then comes Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when referring to Lord Kṛṣṇa, Śrīmad Goswami very nicely described, and he basically incites Parikshit Maharaj's curiosity, because all these 9 cantos have been preparing him to hear about who? Lord Kṛṣṇa. And he describes that Lord Kṛṣṇa is bedecked with jewels. He has, sharp shaped earrings, his beautiful face, his perfect cheeks, beautiful smile, and every body part is perfectly calm, and so forth. So when you hear about a personality who is very beautiful looking, you immediately is attracted. Right? Material beauty causes fire in us, while the spiritual beauty calms us down. It's constantly. So when we look at Shri Radha Madan Mohan, the very meaning is one who can incite Madan, Cupid. Mohan is the inciter. So one who can even attract Cupid. And his beauty is compared to crores of cupids, millions, tens of millions of cupids. So that's how beautiful he is described. Yet at the same time, Śrīmad Goswami reveals some interesting blessings here, where he says that in this world, again, people who surrender to Lord Kṛṣṇa, they are not normal beings. Bahunam Jananam Ante Jnanmam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Lord Kṛṣṇa reveals in the Bhagavad Gita that people who surrender to me are Bahunam Jananam, after many, many births. Jnanmam Prapadyate. So they are very intelligent, they have engaged their intelligence, they are worshipping by their intelligence. And so these great personalities surrender to Lord Kṛṣṇa. So if you have surrendered to Lord Kṛṣṇa, it's not by accident that you suddenly came. You have been hankering for this for many, many lives. And finally you have found a shelter in the lotus feet of Lord Kṛṣṇa, which is the perfect boat to take us back home, back to Godhead. And what this boat is, again, the way as Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur describes, is the instructions from the Acharyas. And this boat is Sankirtan Yajna. In this boat of Sankirtan Yajna. So if you have to cross a great ocean, which one is easier? Swimming or having a cruise ride? Easy, right? And there is a very simple ticket to get onto this particular cruise. To get on this. Just raise your hand and chant. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we have a wonderful opportunity. So our resolution should be to start focusing on developing the divine qualities, focusing on hearing about Lord Kṛṣṇa, engaging in devotional service, and also constantly reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, because this is not different from Kṛṣṇa. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is not different from Kṛṣṇa. So when we are reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, of course, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Kṛṣṇa says, one who hears his instructions is worshipping him by intelligence, but we are in constant association with Lord Kṛṣṇa. So I may be impure, you may be impure, but Kṛṣṇa is all pure, so he purifies us all. Simple ways Srila Prabhupada used to refer in his early lectures when he was in the West, in America. And here, Śrīmad Goswami quickly gives two hints. First is that in this material world, people who are looking for power, people who are looking for sense gratification, rulers of various countries, they are demonic in nature. And there is a perfect arrangement by the material energy, they will fight with each other and destroy themselves. While devotees, we stay under the radar, right? And focus on our devotional service. Simple life, higher thinking, constantly engaging in devotional service, constantly cultivating to purify our existence, and planning to go back home. And the association of other devotees, right? Association is very important. And then, in the last few verses, he refers to as how Lord Kṛṣṇa quickly transferred himself from Mathura to Vrindavan to associate with his devotees. So Lord wants to associate with his devotees. He wants to enjoy with his devotees. And these devotees are upset with Brahma because of one thing. Why? Why are they upset? Because of the eyelids. Because when they are looking at Lord Kṛṣṇa, they constantly want to look. But sometimes the eyes become dry and the eyelids, they cause an interruption. They don't want an interruption. These are the gopis. So we will hear about gopis in the 5 chapters, in 10th canto. Those interactions are described and they are very mellow and very blissful. So this is where this particular chapter ends. And we understand that we have to constantly purify our existence, and simply starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Hare Krishna.
Nice class, Prabhu. Wonderful, very meticulously, very well planned one.
Thank you.
Very enjoyed. But I have to go for the meeting, so.
Hare Krishna. Yes,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Tattva Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Jai Go Premanande.